about 5 years ago, I was speaking at a women in business conference in Denver. I was one of, I think, 12 female speakers. It was sold out. It was about, I think it was real big. I think it was about 300 people there. Mostly women. It was a women in business conference. And I finished my session. My session was just before lunch. And I had to pack up my computer and stuff. So by the time I got into the ballroom where the lunch was, they were well started. And it was a sold out conference. And they had 30 rounds like this with 10 to a round to get the 300 women in. So I can't see a seat open. So I go over to the meeting planner and I'm like, where should I seat? She goes, oh, I don't know. There's one seat open. You'll have to just go look. I don't know where it is. So we're scanning and we're walking and I finally find the one seat open and I sit down and they're well into the first course and I'm kind of politely nodding my head and trying to read name badges and I'm needing name badges and I get to the woman sitting right next to me. I just screamed out, oh my God, Dr. Diane Stone! And she went, yes? I said, don't you remember me? You delivered my first daughter 15 years ago. You don't remember me? And she was like, I'm sorry, I have no idea who you are. Tell me something about your case. I've delivered a lot of babies, And I went, oh, I was the drug note lady. She was like, oh God, yes, I remember you. And then everybody at the table was like, what? So then she proceeds to tell the story that it was my first pregnancy and I thought I was in labor. And I kept calling her and saying, I'm in labor, like that, like really happy. And she was like, you're not in labor if you're happy. And so then I was sure I was in labor, so I made my husband, we went to the ER, and of course the ER said, you're not in labor. And I did that twice. And on the second time, they called Dr. Stone and said, if she shows up one more time not in labor, we're gonna have to hurt her. So now that was like Saturday, so now it's Monday, and I'm no longer happy. And I call, and I'm not happy. And she goes, okay, why don't you come in? So they made me go to her first before I could go to the ER. So I go to her office, and I'm really not happy, and I also haven't slept. And she says, okay, you're in labor, ta-da, you get to go, well, okay, so listen, I'll meet you over there in a little bit, but head on over. And I said, I got to the nurse, I kind of got out to the reception desk, and there was, like you cut up paper to make notes with, recycle paper. It was like a recycled, cut up like this size, and the receptionist had it here for taking notes. And I grabbed it. And I said, I'm not leaving without a note that says I get drugs as soon as I get there. I want an epidural now. And she was like, Sarah, it's in your treatment plan. No, I'm not leaving without a note. So she literally got a pen and wrote, Sarah gets an epidural upon admission. And I got to the hospital, and those little blue-haired, wonderful volunteers, and the little pink coats. Yeah, so I get into the wheelchair, and the little pink coat, 80-year-old volunteers pushing me up, and I'm like, I have a note that says I get drugs. And she's like, that's nice, honey. Is that your first baby? And so literally that note, and I'm not kidding, is in my daughter's baby book. So everybody's laughing at the table. Ha, that's so funny. And we're telling, pregnancy stories. And I turned to Diane and I said, Diane, I gotta ask, why are you at this woman in business conference? You're a really busy OBGYN. What are you doing here? She goes, well, funny you should ask me that. She said, actually, I'm no longer delivering babies. I specialize now in mature women's health issues. Yeah, is it hot in here? Is it just me? And she says, I want to start speaking about mature women's health issues. I really think I have a lot to say about that, and I have no idea how to go about this. So I saw this brochure come across my office manager's desk about this Women in Business conference, and I thought, what if I went? And what if I met somebody, or what if I learned something that would get me one step closer to that dream I have to actually go out and start speaking and help women, especially older women, deal with those challenges, those life changes. And one seat open in the ballroom, and I'm the one that sits next to her. Remember, she did give me drugs, good drugs. I had a great delivery. Didn't feel a thing. It was awesome. And at that point, I was the president of the National Speakers Association for the state of Colorado. I had a mentor program that we had started where we were mentoring new speakers to get into the business. What do you think the chances are that I could help Dr. Stone? Yeah. Immediately, I introduced her to the meeting planner because I knew she put on women in business conferences. I got her into the fast track program at the NSA Colorado chapter. And 3 months later, I sat in her first audience to see her speak at a high-end women's luxury retreat about women's health, menopause, how to navigate that. She got a standing ovation, and now, 7 years later, she's actually not even practicing anymore. She's out working the circuit and helping women. And that's the power of intentions. And I remember saying to Diane, when your alarm went off and she's in private practice. You closed down your practice to come to a conference like that. There's no money coming in. Did you have second thoughts about that? She said, oh yeah, that morning I thought, what am I doing? I can't do this. I could not. I'm a physician. I can't be a speaker. What am I thinking? And she had to drown out those voices. She had to say, Meg Wheatley, who's one of my favorite authors, she says you have to step into the energy of yes. And so this week, I want you to step into the energy of yes.